Welcome back to Unscripted Liberty, where we dive deep into politics, liberty, and freedom. I'm your host, Brittany Kosin, and today we're focusing on Pennsylvania's state Senate race in District 29. Our guest is Tim Henning, a 20-year combat veteran and Libertarian candidate. Tim is running against Republican David Argall, who has held this position since 2009. And the other opponent is Democrat John Zurgick. In this episode, we'll explore Tim's vision for Pennsylvania, his plans for addressing key state-level issues, and the challenges of taking on two well-established candidates. We'll cover the topics such as property tax reform, education, veterans issues, and local governance, while staying grounded in the unique needs of District 29. So let's get started. Well, Tim, I want to welcome you to the show. Let's get started with your background as a combat veteran and now as a candidate for Pennsylvania State Senate. What motivated you to enter into this race, and why did you choose the Libertarian Party?
Hi, glad to it's nice to be here. What got me interested is the level of failure throughout, every aspect of what we're doing. So I see the left side, the Democrats, they're bound by their policies. Republicans, same things. I think good people get in, good men and women that truly want to serve, and their hands are tied. Their hands are tied by the party. So, and I believe that the party, it's more important now, what's important for the party based what's important for the country. So that's why I chose the Libertarian Party. Something different, give the people a third option. My military background, it was a different world. I see things a little bit differently. Hopefully I have more to add than these guys that's been sitting around for way too long.
Yeah, a little bit different perspective. So you're against, like I said, the Republican incumbent David Argall and Democrat John Zurgick. What makes your platform stand out from theirs, and why do you think District 29 is ready for a change?
Well, my cornerstone is definitely based on term limits. I believe that politicians, they get too comfortable. They grow roots. That should never happen. We need term limits. We got to have it that we leave it better than we found it, and we pass it on, and it continues that way. That's not being done. We don't have adequate leadership. I think we just kind of filled in the blanks. We could go on and on, but I think everyone understands.
Yeah. So what are the most pressing issues facing District 29, and how do you plan to tackle them differently than your opponents are?
Well, I think in generalities, looking around at everything that's happening in the country, worldwide, our district is not prepared to handle any situation. Currently, you can see it everywhere you look. All I got to do is go outside, take a look around. We can't ask the people that create the problems to fix the problems, especially that you have a 34 or so year veteran flopping between the House and the Senate, accomplishing absolutely nothing. So my main thing is accountability. We gotta bring that to the lower level of government. We gotta have it throughout the state. Everyone has to be on board. We gotta wean out the what should I say? Pluck the bad apples. We'll keep it at that.
Yeah. So, as someone who's deeply connected to their local community, what are your priorities when it comes to ensuring District 29's needs are heard when in Harrisburg?
I think the most pressing thing for me is looking at, the next generations that are following, our children, what's going on with them. I look around, I see it. I lived outside the country. I was stationed in Germany 14 years. I kind of had an outside perspective on things and deploying from there. But I come home and this is not an environment that we should be leading right now with our children. And the bad things I've seen around the world and everything, I don't want that here. I don't want our kids to see with their own eyes. That's why we go away and do what we do. That's why all veterans probably would agree with that. We don't want that stuff here. We don't want it here. I fear that due to weak leadership, weak government, we're in extreme danger. I mean, everyone is. Open border, I believe, it's not controlled. I believe, yeah, and immigration, absolutely, absolutely. But the way things are being processed, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, every county, every state open, that's the border now.
Yeah. So I was looking at all your stuff and everything, and it seems like veterans issues are pretty central to your campaign. What specific state level policies would you advocate for to improve support for veterans in Pennsylvania?
My first thing is we got to look at the tax break that we can give them. I think veterans shouldn't be paying taxes, period. If you served, I think that should be gone. That's something I would strongly look at and push for. I believe in veterans having access to private health insurance and private, different doctors outside the VA, but it's hard. They give us the green light to do so, but now it's, like I said, it's limited. Resources are limited. Now we have an influx of people coming in, and no one's taking that into consideration. Now everything's being used up more on what we didn't have in the first place. So, it's less for everyone else that put the hard work in, that gave it their all, and we can't turn our back on them. We can't.
Yeah. No, definitely as a veteran spouse, I see all the struggles and stuff firsthand of trying to get things done. Um, and so we hear about all these struggles that the veterans are facing when they're transitioning from their military lives and their day-to-day that they were so used to into civilian life.
Mhm.
Big things that, like I've noticed and I know you've noticed as well are things like finding employment and mental health service access. What solutions do you see at a state level for at least those two areas?
Well, we're definitely at state level. We're definitely going to have to produce programs. We're going to have to. We can't rely at a federal level. There's great groups out there, the Wounded Warriors. There's all types of programs that are there to help. I think we just got to put it in the hands of the veterans. Get them, start getting them informed. Start getting them engaged. I just think there's no one really pressing the issue. I mean, I think it's more of a check the box and next type of thing, and that's not what we should be doing. It's a lot. A lot of veterans are cast to the side in the health system. It happened to me personally. I'm sure it happened to almost everybody. It's a shame. It really is. It really is. And then the resources being taken away for different groups that it shouldn't be going to. I'm just going to leave it at that. And the veterans suffer, and the people that need the resources and the different things they suffer for it.
Yeah, definitely. Some of the first things to get cut when they say cut the fat type stuff are
Right.
veteran stuff. So you did mention about the need for like state programs to connect the veterans with local resources. Can you share your thoughts on how Pennsylvania can better serve its veteran population without expanding government bureaucracy? Because I know a big thing with libertarians is we're on small government, make it smaller, not so much creating more overreach sometimes.
I think the VFWs and American Legions are a great start. If you have it in your community and you're a veteran, start there. You're going to find something that, or a path that I'm sure will lead you and help you. Um, I think we need more of it. It's just getting veterans, like, for example, you get combat veterans or something that went through a certain thing. And it's hard to relate to other veterans that, everyone has different needs. And as people
Mhm.
that served in the Navy is not going to relate to, the Army very well, and vice versa, and different jobs and things of that nature. So it's more, we need more personal and more up close, personal, hands on type of activity going on, getting the veterans together. That's the best we can do right now at this point. We got to strengthen our communities as a whole, and the veterans. If you're within that community, that it starts with you. You're their leadership. We're still counting on you.
Yeah. So, pivoting a little bit more going in towards like taxes and stuff. Um, Property taxes are always a huge issue for a lot of Pennsylvania homeowners, and it's been a pretty big point of frustration with a lot of people when talking to them. What's your take on the current property tax situation, and how would you approach reform for that?
The first thing that comes to mind right now, who's taking the biggest beating, is definitely our seniors. I mean, they're not. They don't have the chance really to defend them or react or adjust to the situation. They put in their time. They did what they had to do, and that hurts me deep. It hits here just as much as veterans being left behind. Our seniors put so much and built our country, put their time into it, paid their dues. Social Security. They're depending on it. They're depending on fixed incomes. So when we start raising property taxes and seniors still paying school taxes, that seems a little ridiculous to me. And it all starts again with looking at the aspect of waste, fraud, and abuse, and what programs are out there currently, what's not being used, what's working, what's not, etc.
Yeah, it's almost like looking at some of these taxes and stuff, especially for the seniors, it's almost um like financial abuse and stuff. They talk about the different levels of abuse.
Absolutely.
And I would say that's almost like level of financial abuse. Now, the incumbent Argyle, has supported property tax reform for years, or at least he's talked about it. But many residents, like I said, I've been kind of doing my research, feel like he hasn't done much about it. How do you plan to deliver meaningful property tax relief that benefits working families, retirees in District 29? Like, what would you do instead of just talking the talk? What's the walk?
But the first thing I'm gonna do is not take no for an answer. If this is what the people are asking for, this is what they're gonna get. If this is what's right, that's what I'm gonna fight for. How I'm gonna approach this is I'm trying to be delicate with this one. Like I said before, kind of turn it back around a little bit. There's good people out there, good men, good women that serve that want to do it, that are elected officials, not politicians. But I just lost my train of thought.
I do that
It
all the
happens.
time.
It happens. It happens. It happens.
Well, we'll move
Anyway,
on. If you think of it,
just move on. We'll circle back
we'll
around.
circle back if you think of it. So, our economy here in Pennsylvania has
Mm.
definitely faced a lot of challenges, a lot in the rural areas. How do you plan to support economic growth and job creation, especially for small businesses and agricultural, in District 29?
District 29 is the perfect place. There's so much farmland. There's so much. That's the best. That's the type of environment I love the most. I love the country. I love the environment like that. My main thing is small business, strong communities. We have to support local business. We have to give them breaks. We have to give them the funds that they need to start pumping it, into the local area. I think from what I've seen in my district, there's a lot of closings, there's a lot of failures, there's a lot of blight, there's a lot of unfinished hopes and dreams. I mean, it's been horrible. I think the economy definitely it's hitting like it circle back around. It's not just affecting seniors that we talked about or veterans. It's affecting everybody. So I mean, I believe in a strong, local communities, local governments. We have to support homegrown businesses. I'm a big thing on that. I will not purchase something if it's made outside the United States. I just can't do it. Uh, but yeah, I believe in supporting local businesses and definitely our farmers. Definitely farmers. That's who we rely on. I'm trying to become a farmer myself. I've been growing. I'm trying to save money just like everyone else. Um, Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. So what role would you say that the state government would play in creating better environment for these like small businesses to thrive? And like how would your approach differ from your opponents?
well, first of all, my point of view on it, I'm looking for a safety standpoint. I mean, people that want to do it and have a small business, they're thinking of all the risks. They're going to mitigate what the risk is level is now here versus here, and what's going to work. Is it going to thrive? You know, we the risk level right now is high. You see it in cities. What's going on? I wouldn't open a business in a city if someone handed it to me. I just wouldn't do it. I don't think it's safe. I don't think it. So we definitely have to have a safe and secure environment. We have to be promoting it. We have to be pushing it. We have to, especially the younger generation. There's a lot of people I talk to, especially my stepson's older friends. They're in their low 20s, and a lot of them are thinking about opening businesses, but they think the risk, the way the economy is. Especially with the inflation and everything, it's no one wants to take the risk. And I mean, we can I can tie this in a little bit with first time home buyers. You know, my stepson, he's a first time home buyer, age 20. Very proud of him. Very proud of him. I mean, he worked hard, he got it done, but it's not easy. It's not easy to do. Um, so yeah, there's a lot being affected by this.
Yeah. So you were talking about your kids and stuff like that. So education's another big thing that seems to be a hot topic with families across Pennsylvania and even other states too. But what do you see as the biggest challenges within our current education system here in Pennsylvania? And how would you try to address these as being a senator?
The way I see it, our education system is to provide just that, education. I mean, we had our school system, I think, infiltrated by different entities that should have no business being in there. I don't think politics deserves to be in the school system, how it's going in there like that. I mean, what's being taught, what's being pushed, the argument, with parents' rights versus teacher rights or the school district's rights, and it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. I mean, especially the literature that's being found. I hear cases and cases of it just sitting right out there in the open. Just, fourth grader could walk up or a third grader or walk up and sit there and just graphic detail about, erotica, things of that nature. So, I mean, and what's being taught? How are we competing with anyone else? How's it making us a better, setting these kids up for success? This is what confuses me, especially I have two sons myself from a previous marriage. They live in Germany. I have a 21-year-old and 16-year-old. They went through the German school system, you know, and I see the difference. I watched them grow up. I'm in good contact with them. Uh, I see the big differences on how things are taught, their scheduling, the quality of teachers that they get. That's in question with me right now. What type of teachers do we have? Who's teaching our kids? What do we have being put inside our children? Um, yeah, there's a lot of aspects to it. It is, and it's that's when that's the time that you're there to learn. That's the time you're there to start growing into the person you're going to become. And then when you have all this other stuff thrown in there, it's not a good combination.
Yeah, so a lot of it I see is the schools are teaching to the test more. And it's just they're not preparing these kids for adulting. They're not teaching them to be able to manage a household budget. Like I think there's like maybe if the schools still have that, because I know our school district still has a little bit of a residual type of class like home ec, like
Right.
we used to have, and stuff. And it's even my home ec is different than my parents' home ec is different than what my son's going through. And
Right.
it's again, like life is changing, the world's changing, things are technology's advancing, but they still should be able to balance a budget, go to the grocery store and be able to purchase a basic 2 week supply of groceries and laundry and basic things to run a household that they're not being taught. And then they're kind of just being like, here's life, sink or swim. And I think something that I didn't have in school that I think I would love to see is some sort of education on student loans, because I feel those are so predatory. And you have it when you go to the colleges for things, you see stuff for student loans and you see stuff for these credit unions and credit cards and everything else and student rates, introductory rates and this and that. And I see them as such a predatory thing for these kids that aren't being prepared for this,
Right.
and such a push on higher education, these bachelor's degrees, these master's degrees and stuff like that. And trade schools are just going by the wayside. It's like we still have trades. We still need mechanics, we still need nurses, we still need dental hygienists and all of these trades that
Right.
are welders, everything else. Like we're still building things, we're still having to maintain things. What would you do to push for trades and pushing these trade schools?
Trade schools are important. I think they should be. Actually, I was just discussing this it was actually yesterday. I was looking at the dropout rates, comparing them from now to 10 years ago and things of that nature, trying to see statistics on what's been going on so I get a better understanding. Um, yeah, and it's the dropout rates that got me going with it, and then I started looking at you know, okay, well, let's look at the trade schools and stuff, and I believe there were 0 dropouts. It had the same admission number, I think it tops out at something, but it had 0 dropouts when I looked for both. So I found that interesting. So I think it's the quality of teachers. I believe where I'm currently at here, Hazleton, within my
Mhm.
district, I believe they had 10 years ago, I believe they had 96, 94 dropouts total, male and female. And last year, I believe it was 156.
Wow.
156, I believe.
Yeah.
So it seems like we're just failing the kids. They're
Mhm.
slipping through the cracks. They're going out in society. It's a never-ending trend. It just never stops, and we're failing them. We're failing them,
Yeah,
especially
so
if they don't have the right social network or the right, a strong family or people behind them or some kind of system in place. They're just being set up to fail. They're being set up to fail.
yeah, so with that, like having them have that support system and stuff, and it seems to be like trade schools are a um passion. The teachers are passionate, the students are passionate about it. What what would you take on school choice? Because that would give the parents and students and just the families in general a little bit more say in maybe finding that niche of a faculty that fits what their child needs, or like where that child is passionate about that. Okay, this school over here is really good in sports, like they have great coaches and their curriculum is pretty good towards athletes, and my kid's really good at sports. Like I would probably pick that school over this one's really got a great STEM program and my kid's great in that science and technology stuff, and these teachers are super passionate in that program. I would love to send my kid there. Like, what's your take on having that school choice option?
The school choice option should be there, definitely. I mean, the kid going should be making a choice on what he's doing with his or her future. Like, that's common sense. I mean, I think that way. I seen it in Germany, with my kids. They sit there and they advance through what they're gonna actually do. They don't have the same subject one year, next year a different level with that subject, next year, so on and so forth. Um, in trade schools, you're learning a trade. You're learning something useful.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has a degree. Anyone can get a degree. All you're really doing is regurgitating someone else's information they put down. That's all anyone's really doing. Anyone can do that. You can teach anyone to do that.
Yeah, I can't stand it. I have to get my bachelor's because I'm a nurse and working a magnet hospital status and stuff like that. Certain
Right.
percentage of your nursing staff have to be bachelor's level. Certain percentage of your management have to have the master's and all of this. And it's like I'm just going through it, and it's like I'm like banging my head against the wall sometimes with some of these classes that are requirements. It's like, but I don't want to learn that. That's not interesting to me. So I'm
Right.
literally going to take what you teach me, mix it up, change some words, add some sparkle to it, and send it back to you.
It's
Like,
just
I didn't
it's like you're
retain
going
any of it.
it's like you're going through the motions. That's all it seems
Mhm.
like, and it's
Just to get a piece of paper and debt. Like,
right.
that's pretty much it. So, yeah, speaking of debt and stuff like that with schooling, like, there's a big debate on how schools are funded in Pennsylvania, especially with property taxes and school taxes.
Right.
So what's your stance on the current funding model? Current funding model. Get my words together today. What changes would you advocate to ensure fair and effective funding across all school districts? Because like I know up by you, it's a little bit more rural than compared to where I'm at. I'm in Central Bucks. So that we're a little bit more affluent, and then you have a little bit further south from me is Philadelphia and stuff. So there's such just going probably like a 2 hour, 3 hour drive between Philly up to you up there is look at the difference that we go through.
Right.
And a lot of it's funding.
Well, I was gonna brings me up to a point, with the influx of people being registered, it seems like, I mean, the numbers ain't there yet, truly, but they're gonna be there eventually. And you're gonna see the influx. And I'm just curious on how do we even have the staff, the room,
Hmm.
the place to actually teach, the resources, more
Yeah.
people mean more students means more teachers. Or if they have bigger classes, I mean, the bigger the class, the worse it is for the student.
Hmm.
That's obvious. One-on-one with if you had like a class of 5, oh my good, those kids are gonna excel because
Yeah,
the
they're gonna
teacher has more
thrive.
time, individual time with the student. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Oh,
But
I'm noticing with my youngest, he's in preschool and his class, because he's like half day. The morning, there's like I think like 5 or 6 of them, if that, in his class, compared to like my son when he went through. My son's now 15. When he went through, he had like 10, 12 kids in his preschool class. Just the difference of like things that went through. And like when I went to school and when I noticed when I had a larger class, I questions didn't get answered as easily. Things fell through the crack. We kind of pushed things through. No child left behind. Just
right,
pushed a lot of things through and just rubber stamped a lot of stuff. And I would love to see like I've seen more, and this is my doom scrolling on TikTok. I have seen there's a couple as one teacher at least shows up. She's a Montessori teacher, and the Montessori like model is they have like she teaches like they go by age. So she teaches 3-year-olds to 6-year-olds, and she keeps the same students. So if they come to her and start at 3, she works with them up through 6, and they just build on everything they've learned. They have access to the same materials the 6-year-olds have as the 3-year-olds have.
right,
But she goes and the Montessori model has that they spend time with each student one-on-one doing an activity that is their level. So the
right,
3-year-old could be at the level doing what a 5-year-old's doing. As she meets them, the Montessori model has the teacher meet them at their level, but the
right.
class sizes are small and everything else. So I like that model, but it's expensive to to implement.
You got me thinking of homeschooling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's similar.
because the parent who knows the kid best. Your parent.
Yeah.
You're gonna know them best. You're gonna
Yeah,
know what
there's no
they're
place.
capable of learning. You know how to push them. You know how to
Mhm.
keep their attention.
And you can tell them
Yeah,
to shut up.
right, right. But and it's hard. It's hard too. You gotta have the
The
parent able to
discipline.
do so. The parent, first of all, able to do so, and the
Mhm.
resources and things of that nature. So, yeah, I'm a big supporter of homeschooling. I
Yeah,
real
and
especially in today's world, definitely 100%.
then there's also the alternative of like I want to use cohort, but there's also like it's like the community based where it's homeschoolers, but you go over to Miss Susie's on Monday because she's good at science and she teaches the science lessons on Monday. And then Tuesday you go to Mr. Mike and Mr. Mike teaches math. Like you go between different parents that are good at certain things. And that way you're not responsible every day. You get a break from your kids so you can go do things like work or go handle errands and stuff like that, but your kid is being taught it by someone who's knowledgeable in the subject
Right,
and small groups, and they get to interact with other children and have a change of scenery and get that social building as well. Pods, homeschool pods.
yeah,
That's what
there
they're
you go.
called. So another pivot here, defend the guard.
Mhm,
So, you've been a strong advocate for Defend the Guard Act, and while it it's tied to national defense, it is a state level initiative. Can you just kind of explain how this legislation would impact Pennsylvania's National Guard, and what does it mean for state sovereignty?
absolutely, our guard should not be going anywhere. Our National Guard is put here, I think, for everyone that lives in Pennsylvania, the residents of Pennsylvania. That's the purpose of it. You can see it throughout the country when something's happened, something's needed. You see, like for example, Governor DeSantis, he was right on it and got everything mobilized. Or the governor of North Carolina, they were right on it. Um, so it's important. You can see it, and anything can happen. No one can predict anything, see anything. I don't think, yeah, our guard should be mixed with active duty. That purpose is to go overseas, going to fight when we have to, when it's necessary. Not when it's because we feel like playing a real life Call of Duty episode or something or whatever's going on. But yeah, defend the guard. It needs to be here. It needs to be in place. Like I said, anything can happen. We need it. It's an emergency. It's here to defend Pennsylvanians. Uh, I could see it going to assist other states, uh, or
Yeah.
even things of that nature if necessary. But yeah, it should stay in country. I think our guard unit should stay.
Yeah, so I Defend the Guard is near and dear to my heart. It's one of my babies. Um, so I go when I tell people about it. I use it and go and give them this little brain tickler. I go, we have Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Space Force. Throw them in there too. Um, and you have National Guard and Coast Guard. Okay. What do guards do? They guard things.
Exactly.
Okay. So can't guard something when you're not here. And I go, all of the other ones don't have guard in their name. They get to go play and
Right.
they go away, far away. They go international. We stay here. Guards stay here. They defend the base. And I go and say, and then I go and bring up Katrina in Louisiana.
Mhm.
Louisiana's National Guard was deployed overseas when Katrina hit and the levees. They were in charge of the levees. They knew what to do and how to fix them and how to repair them. That was their thing. They weren't there. They were overseas. So now you have other states coming in, other guard units coming in to work on something and handle stuff that they're
Right.
not familiar with. That's not their thing. They don't handle that. You have coming from states that don't have levees. They're also not used to
Exactly.
dealing with a whole majority of a state that's under sea level.
All terrain's different. All states have different terrain, pretty much,
We have
to some degree.
each state is its own little country, basically. When you go look and compare it to Europe and stuff, we have
Right.
states bigger than countries in Europe.
Mhm.
Like, it's such a different thing that we're one country with all these little states. Like, and they're so different. And they have the communities and the people are so different in them that it's nice to have a unit that comes from them,
Right.
that knows the details, the ins and outs, the how things work, the way the culture is in that state.
Exactly.
And I just can't. I hate seeing them go overseas. It's my little soapbox.
I hate seeing anyone go overseas,
That
but
too, but
but
that's a whole nother can of
but
worms.
it is when necessary.
Um, so again, keeping up with everything, how do you see the role of state legislature with pushing back against federal mandates or policies that you believe infringe on Pennsylvania's rights? Do you think government should play a stronger role in defending individual freedoms, or should they step back?
Definitely step back. I think step back. Because government shouldn't be involved in anything. All government does is mess things up, makes it worse. Situation gets worse. Nothing good comes from government. Everything should be limited. Government should be out of it. Uh, yeah, yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah. So at what point though should like a state government step in when the federal government's overstepping their and pushing their limits?
That's a tough one. That's a tough nut right there because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Case by case basis,
Y-
or
It shouldn't be.
kind of
No, it should not be that way. It shouldn't be that way. I come to question it. Like states have individual laws. Everyone's different. Everyone has different communities. You travel through the country and that's how it is. And then you have some people, that think one land, one law type mentality, and they kind of run with it. So that's why I say it's
now.
it's not.
So what about going with say a federal mandate comes down, like stuff with COVID and stuff. Now, would you have it that state just kind of say, if you don't want to do it, don't do it, and we're not going to do anything about it, and if and just not allow federal agents or whatever to enforce anything in our state? Like, would that be something along those lines of just let the people decide what they want to follow and not just not penalize them if they decide to go against whatever a mandate is?
Okay, well, if we want to go put it that way. Okay, well, let's look at it like our governor. Okay, well, let's just say I'm governor and that would have been thrown at me, for example. I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't support that at all. I just couldn't do it. It didn't make no sense to me. It's not affecting life. It's just nonsense. It's not. It makes no sense. I wouldn't support it personally.
Okay.
It's case by case, like you
Yeah,
said. You said.
it is. It depends on what's being brought down on us is what affects and doesn't affect Pennsylvanians. And like I said before, it's is Pennsylvanians and every other state. We have our own culture. We have our own way we do things, and I think the ones that know best are the ones that are in the state,
Right.
and we know what's best for ourselves. So yeah, I guess just limiting government in general, just be like, yo, peace out, Girl Scout.
I
I got
mean,
this.
it's just unnecessary. We're making things harder than it needs to be. We truly are. We truly are. It's we are currently in uncharted territory as a country. Definitely.
Yeah, so Pennsylvania is a battleground state. With the presidential election coming up, we have a lot of stuff with Trump being a pretty significant impact in Pennsylvanian politics. Um, lot of lot of these conservative areas. Um, how do you think his influence is going to affect the political landscape in your district, and how do you plan to reach out to voters who may have supported him?
In my district, I see a combination. It's pretty split. Um, Support wise, sign wise, I'd have to lean towards Trump. I mean, it's just he seems like he has more of an impact here. He aligns more with the people that live here in my district. His policies, the things he stands for. I mean, bringing businesses back, putting tariffs on things of that necessary at that level. He's more. I think he more aligns with it with local communities. I mean, my district, yes, I think they align with Trump. Uh, Pittsburgh, I don't know. I'd have to say no.
Yeah, so so a lot of voters feel disconnected from the political process in general. So a lot of those who might have voted for Trump the last time are now looking for new leadership. They're disenfranchised with everybody. Um how would you engage with these voters that kind of lost their spark in the whole voting process, and just what would your message be to them to kind of try and bring them back in and get them
Right.
interested again and giving their voice?
I think the main thing is it seems like they don't even have a voice anymore because the bickerings between the parties. I mean, it's just turning like we have our own, you know, Cold War going on between political parties. They can't be relied on anymore. Uh, I think we need to look past the party aspect and start looking at the individual. Start electing people based on their merit alone, not who they're affiliated with. Just because if I put someone's logo on me, does that make me qualified to do something? No,
Yeah.
that proves nothing. So yeah.
Yeah, voting for people on their based on their platforms and their opinions versus their red, their blue, their yellow, or green, whatever.
Right.
Like
I
and
said
blind party voting.
we're all American first. We're all American. We are one country. We are one nation. For some reason, we categorized ourselves way too much. We started really categorizing ourselves uh,
Ooh.
from not just from political parties, but everything. We just kept putting ourselves in boxes more and more. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's the process. Everyone lost touch with it because I think it's everywhere. It infiltrated every aspect of life now. It's everywhere you turn. And it's been like this. It hasn't just been like for election time. It's been this way consistently, like consistently over the years. Yeah, you probably wow. If I actually look into it, I'm sure it's a lot. But it seems to be consistent, like it's normal. Before, like how I grew up and how I seen election time would come, people would get a little pumped up, they do their thing, election time be over, and people would move on. Congratulations, do a good job.
Yeah.
And now it's more like you said, it's all about party politics over what's best for the people, what's best for the country. Me as a libertarian, I don't have to answer that. I'm not going to play that game. I'm not going to answer to a party. I'm going to answer to people.
Yeah.
So
It said growing up, it's stuff. I honestly, I didn't know what political affiliation my parents were until 2022, 2 years ago, when I ran for state representative. That is when I found out what political party my parents were. That that's how I was raised. We did not have big political discussions in our house, in our family in general.
I
Like
never heard it really.
it wasn't talked about. It wasn't
Right.
it wasn't a thing. It was just something that you kind of yeah, I agree with this list of stuff that this group stands for. Sure, I'll sign up under them. And you just went and voted. And you didn't see all of these, like, the TV ads are getting worse. There's very few positive ones. They're
Right.
all let's bash the other ones. There's nothing of this candidate is for this, that, and the other thing. Look how great they are. It's no, look how bad my opponent is. And look at all the bad stuff my opponent's done. And it's getting ridiculous that these politicians are getting elected. They go and spend the first part of their term thanking everyone that got them there, of all of their lobbyists and everything, and scratching their backs and going, yeah, cool, here, you got me in, awesome, thanks, here's what I promised you. And then they spend the second half of their term campaigning again. They're not doing anything. They're just going in and doing nonsense, and they're not listening to their people. Some of them barely go to vote in
Right.
Harrisburg, or barely spend time in their district, and they're all in Harrisburg scratching backs and wheeling and dealing for stuff that has nothing to do with what their district wants. It's disgusting.
It's a scary place. It's scary. It gets worse and worse the more I look at it. I start thinking, what did I do to myself? Like, what did I do? Do I really want to be around these people?
I've been in this for
thing.
2 years. 2 years. That's all I've been in the political spotlight doing stuff. And it's not even year by year. It's month by month. I'm peeling layers away and going, it's not getting better. It's getting worse. The
Right.
more I get involved, the more I dig in, the more I peel these layers away, the more I see that the center is not gold, it is rot.
And that brings me up to another one of my great points. Besides term limits, what's most important to me is accountability. Gotta have it. We have to have it as a society, as a community, as elected officials. You have to have accountability, and we don't have it right now. No one's being held accountable. No one's holding people's feet to the fire. It's not good. It's not good at all. So
Yeah.
that's my first thing. It's, I'm not doing it. I'm not in this to make money. I'm not worth anything now, and I won't be worth anything then. I mean, it's meaningless to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, a big thing I have on mine that I run on a lot of my different platforms, again, between state representative and now township supervisor. I do transparency. I am big on pulling away the curtains and showing what Oz looks like. Like, yo, here's the wizard behind the curtain. Here's
Right.
everything we're doing. By all means, come. Doors are open. What do you want to know? I'm very open and accessible. I have more township residents coming to me to go to the township manager than they are going to supervisors or the township manager themselves.
Right.
They're coming through me because I'm open, transparent, I'm accessible. I'm on multiple social media platforms. I have multiple. They have my phone number to me. It's not my personal one, but it is accessibility. And I answer. I respond. I go. Hey, I do the sundown rules, and stuff like that. Where it's like, hey, I'm gonna try and get you an answer. I'm gonna at least respond to you and go. I'm gonna try and get you an answer, but it might not be by the end of today. But it definitely will be by the end of the week. Like, and I'll get back to you. I acknowledge that they've reached out to me, and I let them know that I'm working on it. And if I don't hear anything back right away, I circle back and go, hey, I didn't forget about you. I'm still working on it. I'm waiting for a response. Here's what I've gotten so far.
Right.
And I'm not even an elected official. I'm just another citizen just like them. But I'm showing and being transparent of how I'm going to work.
Right.
And what I'm going to do. And I push for that with a lot of different candidates to be accessible and get involved in their community in some way, even if they don't win and stuff like that, just to show
Either
and
way,
hold the
I have
ones.
a 24/7 open door policy. I mean, that
Yeah,
will stay in effect. That goes nowhere. So
yeah. I want to get people. I tell them like get involved in your community. Be a thorn in the side of the ones that got elected. Make them look bad. Make yourself look and be a role model for them.
that's
And it's
right.
something that's so big. And I tell a lot of candidates and I reach out to a lot of different people running for offices and everything and just be like, yo, be a thorn in their side. Make them look bad. Um,
I'm
but
not
yeah, it
coming to
was,
make friends. Yeah, I get elected.
no.
If I'm elected, someone sees me coming, they're gonna be like, "Oh, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, he's coming. What happened?" Like, it's not on good terms, and that's okay. Like, I'm not doing this to make friends. I'm not doing it for whatever. I'm doing it to hold people accountable. And
Yeah.
I have a hunch a lot are gonna resist.
Yeah. Oh
They're
yeah. Always,
they're
always push back.
and I look forward to it.
Means you're doing something right.
And I
If
look
there's pushback and people don't like it, means you're doing something right.
I completely look forward to it. I do.
I
I honestly
thrive
do.
off of it. I
I
thrive off of my enemies. My haters, they're my they're my favorite people. I love
yeah,
them. I kill them with kindness.
I started
They're
noticing some trolls and things of that nature, but that don't bother me, so I'll put that out here now. I don't read nothing like that negative. If I see it, I don't wanna partake. I don't
yeah.
do it.
There's some that I'll go and I'll kill them with kindness and make them look and call them out for being the troll that they are and go and counter. I had someone come at me for saying you're just doing this for the money. The position I'm running for gets $3,000 a year. And I've already stated when in my last campaign that I'm donating it to my local fire company because I was a member there. Like I've already said this. So you obviously don't know who I am. You obviously haven't looked at anything I've done or posted in the
I would do
past.
this job for free. I would, like
I that's a whole
I
nother
don't even
thing. A
see
whole
why
I could spend hours
I
talking
understand
about
you have to
budgeting
be
with
paid to
that.
do it effectively, but, like, this is
You want to
you should
you
be
want to
this is
balance
an
it.
honor to do something like this.
Yeah, it should be
To
volunteer.
hold any position, it's an honor to do so. It's supposed to be put there for our best, our brightest, but our strongest leaders, people that think outside the box, people that can react to situations, things that can, function a little bit above the standard. But I don't know
Yeah.
what we're doing lately.
A lot of
I
people
just
look at it as the whole phrase career politician. It shouldn't be a career. It should be a volunteer thing. It's something you want to do. If you want to cut and adjust the budget, cut away all of the fat that they're getting given to them. Meal budget, like food budgets, vehicle budgets, fuel budgets, housing,
yeah,
a
it's ridiculous.
salary. At least I know state representative salary is like almost $200,000. That's more than what I make as a nurse. Like I'm a registered nurse. I am a frontline
Right, right.
hero, if you want to put the phrasing on
No,
it. I'm an
you're an
essential worker. I'm someone that I'm dealing with the worst of the worst situations in people's lives. And I'm working my butt off at, I was, I have since cut back in the ER, but I was working 4 12-hour shifts a week for
Mhm.
18 months because of staffing. But like, I liked what I did, but I needed the money. And I was bringing home with with that pay rate, that salary and stuff like that. I was bringing home $140,000 a year, working 4 12-hour shifts a week, and then still
But
having to pay for insurance and the fuel to get there and
right,
food and my house and everything else. It wasn't given to me. It wasn't included. So
right.
honestly, their pay rate's probably closer to 150, 160,000. So it's ridiculous. It should not be that high, and we should not be in a deficit with something when politicians are making that much money.
Yeah,
It's asinine.
there should be nothing to gain by becoming an elected official.
Yeah,
It should be almost, how can I put this? It's like you're taking a solemn oath. you're giving up everything else, all the other things that everyone else gets to enjoy, or other fun things in life, because you have a job to do. You're taking that responsibility on. You're asking for that responsibility. That's how I see it. People take this on and look at it as like, oh, you're given a title, you're given this and that and all that, and here's a picture opportunity, this and that. I don't want my picture taken ever. I never want to see my picture in the paper, ever. I don't
And
want to
then
talk about myself ever. I'm not doing this for me. So
yeah, no, it's funny. Like now the candidate that I'm going to refer to, he's a federal level, but Brian Fitzpatrick, 90% of his Facebook posts are Eagle Scouts. Him going to an Eagle Scout event. I have yet to see anything of his stances on policies. What's coming up, what votes are coming up, where he stands on it, what he thinks of it, what's going on in DC, what's this, what's that, what's the up and coming, what's the news,
you got
the
on
new
top
and
of
upcoming stuff. I don't, honestly, awesome, great for the Eagle Scouts, by all means. Great for the Eagle Scouts, but I could give two shits that Brian Fitzpatrick is there.
It's our priorities. It's the priorities everyone has set. Everyone's priorities are way out of whack, and they're way too. Everyone thinks way too inward. Let's put it that way. There's too much of that. Everyone's thinking way too inward, and we just became a selfish group of people. Not all of them, but a lot of people. They just chase that materialism, and they keep chasing it, and that's all that's important to them. And this is what we end up with.
Yeah, and then we have some politicians that come with a idea and execute it, but it's done so poorly. Like, I think Bucks County is opening another mental health facility, a resource center, a crisis center, whatever. I haven't delved too deep into it because it's opening understaffed. They can't even provide a resource and have it fully functional to the capacity that it should be at. Right. So they half-ass things too, to check off that little thing off their list of, look what I did, add it to their resume of things they did. And it's
I see people leeching off other people's accomplishments left and right. That's what I think you're trying to get to. I see it. It's at least I see it too. I mean, most people should be able
we don't even live near each other. We don't even live near each other, and we're seeing it is ridiculous. Like, at least we're in the same state, but like, gosh.
All you gotta do is go like this and open your eyes and look. Most people just don't
Wake
want
up,
to.
yeah.
I'm guilty of it. I was guilty of it for the longest time.
I think all politicians should do a windshield. I think all politicians should do a windshield survey of their district and stuff like that. And I don't know if anyone like listening and stuff is familiar with what a windshield survey is. It's get in your car and you drive around. And you drive around everywhere. So like Philly, for example, you're going into Kensington. You're going down the bad streets. You're looking at everything that's going on in your district. Even with the windshield surveys, get out and talk to people. Talk to the people, and don't set up these events, because the only people that are come to the events are the people that have already padded your pockets. Like, no, they're already the people that you already won their vote. They're people that are benefiting from you not doing your job.
Right.
You need to go and talk to these people that are not able to make it to your event because they're working. They're doing their job. They're taking care of their kids. They're taking care of their house. They don't have the time to come to your little brunch or tea time stuff, because they're never convenient timings. They're always in the middle of the day or early afternoons where people are just getting home from work. They have to make dinner. They have to do the errands and do the laundry and get everything settled for the week and for the next day. They don't have time to spend 2 hours at a dinner that's $10,000 a plate. Like, it's ridiculous. These politicians need to get out and into the communities.
That's why that's how I've been approaching things. I want to know every foot of my district, if possible. I want to see every single road. I want to see everything, anything, every canal, every tracks, everything. I want to see, I drive around, I see everything. I can probably count, anywhere from 15 to 20 trees laying on a wire throughout the district at any given time. Things of that nature, just simple things. But you have to get out. You have to look. You have to drive. It's been fun. That's what's been a fun experience with this, especially doing it the first time. Getting out, putting signs out, seeing the entire district, looking at things, saying, "Oh, that's not good," or "Why is that like this?" Or it's
or this intersection sucks.
Trust me, I've been adding to the list of questions that's been going in my head. I just keep adding.
I want to thank you so much for coming on. It was a great discussion. I could probably talk for hours with you about this. Your dedication to veterans, education reform, liberty-based solutions, all of these make you a super strong candidate for District 29, and I wish you the best. Before we close, can you just let your listeners know where, or my listeners, everyone's listeners, know where you can be found, social media, how they can get involved with your campaign, all your details?
You know what? That's a good one. That really is. The best thing to do is to contact me at henningforpasenate.org, I believe. Where's all my stuff at? I had a card somewhere.
I'll post it definitely, but
you can post it.
So website, do you have a Facebook?
I'm on Facebook. I have a website, henningforpa.com. Yeah, henningforpa.com. That's my website. Thank you.
I have two different ones that forward to each other, so I forget which one I use some years.
And I have too many emails.
We got it linked up here, henningforpa.com.
There it is.
So, and it's spelled out because I know mine is the number. So, and then so we have Facebook. Do you have X? Any TikTok? Anything like that? I know I'm on everything because my tech team is amazing.
I haven't had time for it. I stay off of. So I'm not a big social media person. I stay off it. I'm more face to face, out in nature, out in the dirt type of person. So
yeah,
I use it to communicate. Other than that, yeah, absolutely. I need volunteers right now. Looking for volunteers. Like I said, I've been looking for donations. I haven't really been asking. People don't have money to donate. So why ask?
Costs money to run a campaign. How many polling stations do you have?
What's that?
How many polling stations do you have in your district? A lot or a little?
56, a lot. I have a lot.
You definitely need volunteers on election day. Get at the polls, hand out that literature. See, my words are failing me. I work today. My words are failing me at this point of the night. So, as always, a big thank you to our sponsors for this podcast here. LibertarianMutualAid.org, Libertarian Medical Freedom Caucus, and the Libertarian Party Radical Caucus for supporting our show and the message of liberty. Before we wrap up, we are closing with two songs dedicated to the fight for justice and freedom. First, we have Silk Road by Tatiana Moroz, our guest last coming up, and followed by Free Ross by Jordan Page. I do want to take a moment to call on our President Joe Biden to do the right thing and pardon Ross Ulbricht now. Ross has been in prison for far too long, and it's time for justice. Thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for more episodes of Unscripted Liberty.
A man who did the unspoken. He looked for freedom from the violence. No one is perfect when there's new ground broken. A mess is made and someone gets blamed. He had a dream of harmony as you wish to live out your own. We cannot stand for this, cannot have you fall along the Silk Road. This ain't the movies, there's a war in the streets. The innocent are in jail. We pray for justice and we wanna be free, and hope the truth will prevail. He had a dream of harmony as you wish to live out your own. We cannot stand for this, cannot have you fall along the Silk Road. We still have hope, we cannot quit. Don't be afraid. We have a voice and this is it. Let the light show the way. We had a dream of harmony as you wish to live out your own. We cannot stand for this, cannot have you fall along the Silk Road. We cannot stand for this, cannot have you fall along the Silk Road.
On day one, I will commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht to a sentence of time served.
Is there anywhere on earth where a man can still be free? Will he bear the weight alone, or will he have to bend the knee? Is there no one in this land who grows tired of the game, where the wicked gather stones and build up prisons in our name? There's a story that you've heard before. It's been told in every age of a gentle soul misplaced inside a cage. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Free Ross. Whoa, whoa. Free Ross. An honest and philosopher, embattled by the steel of a cell designed to force all men to kneel. But he's patient and determined in his endless duel with time, in a sentence unbefitting of his crime. Will you bend your ear to listen? Will you turn your face to see so brave.